So we have our MVP, or minimal viable product, finished on our local environment. Here it is. You can see it's working pretty well. We got the update page all working. I showed in other build in public videos how this was done. I'm using Docker for my local environment, and it works really well with Wizards Toolkit. Nothing else needed to get Wizards Toolkit running in Docker. You can download it. Currently, the KwikLink.me is going to be hosted on A2 hosting, and you can see there's absolutely nothing in it at the moment. I'm going to log into my A2 hosting. Later on, I'll end up blurring out part of this. We currently do not have the database set up, so I'm going to go back to my Webuzo panel, which is very similar to cPanel, and we see we have KwikLink in here as defined, and I'm going to first add the database for KwikLink. After this is all done, I will probably rename the database and rename the user account and reset the user account password just for security reasons. But for now, I want you to see exactly how it's done. So I've created the user, and now I'm going to assign the user to the database. That easy. I want to give it all permissions except the ability to drop tables, because no need to give the user that capability. If I wanted to, I could fine-tune the user permissions, but this will do for now. Alright, now let's go back and we'll open up phpMyAdmin. Okay, let's add the database to the A2 hosting website. Wizards Toolkit comes with both MySQL setup and PostgreSQL setup tables. This includes the data tables, or the create table scripts, as well as the initial data scripts. You just run them in order 1 through 6. The initial data includes things like email templates for welcoming your new users, pages for handling the data-driven menu management, as well as general lookups for security levels and for USA states and for countries and country codes. All of that, almost every website needs it, so it's included with Wizards Toolkit initial data. Alright, so that's added to the database. We also have some triggers. The triggers do cool things like setting priorities. Yep, all of the SQL tables and triggers are pretty optimized. Easy peasy. Now we'll grab the functions. Wizards Toolkit comes with some pretty useful functions, like things that will receive strings and strip out any non-numerics, which is extremely useful for phone numbers, especially when you're trying to SMS people. It also has a func contact icons, which you pass in phone number, email, latitude, longitude, and it will build some really nice HTML to have quick links for geolocation, or making a phone call directly from the website, or popping an email. And then we add the procedures, which are basically for language translation, not necessary with this particular process. And we definitely won't need the views, but it doesn't hurt to throw them in there. Okay, onward now to the custom tables just for quick links. These are only 3 tables are necessary. All the rest is handled by Wizards Toolkit as your standard way of managing users and audit logs. However, we did want to modify the WTK users table so it includes things like their background color preferences and whether or not they want to show their email on their quick link. So I just made alter scripts to modify the WTK users table. Here's the initial social sites data, as well as the trigger to set the priority or increment the priority as they're being inserted. Oops, small problem with that create trigger thing. Let's try to figure out what that was. Oh, obviously, I forgot to put in the delimiter. So we'll just put in the delimiter code. We'll delete the scripts that already ran, and we'll put it in here so that when I upload it to Git, everybody else has it and they don't have to get that error. And let's reset it to the regular delimiter of semicolon so that the next script will run if necessary. Done. Okay, now let's go to the Wizards Toolkit WTK server info. this is really the only file that you need to update regarding your server configuration. All of the global variables are stored here. Here you just put in the database and username and password that was chosen for this particular database. Here, the file checks the server name to determine what type of DB connection is. You can either use this logic or you can just manually set the GloDB connection variable right here. You see, it is checking to see if it's dev.wtk.com or localhost or 127.0.0.1, and if so, it sets it to localhost. And this way you can have one file, one WTK server info file that manages all your DB connections, whether you're testing locally or you're testing on the live server. Okay, now let's open up the FTP and we're going to upload the files to the web server. As you can see, the current folder is empty, and Webuzo shows this default website when you don't have your files uploaded yet. So now I'm going to upload all the files. In KwikLink, these are the ones that we actually used or created for the KwikLink build in public. And the login folder is where we have most of our files, because I'm going to end up doing an Apache trick. So people can just pass in the parameter without passing in the card.php, but that will be for a later build in public. Let me delete the exports. Frankly, there probably won't be any exports for KwikLink, but in the future I might make it so that people can export their visitors that came to see their card. Of course, we won't have their names, but we'll have their IP addresses, and they can do a lookup to see what countries their visitors came from. I'm going to pull the rest from Wizard's Toolkit directly, which anybody can download from our GitHub or from our Docker. You can download all the pages and then just pull over what you need. We're not going to need the demo folder. There are like 58 different demo files that teach people how to use Wizard's Toolkit, how easy it is to set up charts or emailing or SMSing, but we don't need that for KwikLink. Currently, it has the Wizard's Toolkit fave icon. Later on, I will switch these out for a KwikLink icon. Dang, it did not work. So let me show you how you debug this. First thing you want to do is, in Wizard's Toolkit, there is a dev utils folder. You should not leave that on your production site, but it's great for debugging things. In this folder, you'll see a whole bunch of really cool things, like AWS's S3 can be migrated to Cloudflare R2. There's also things that will do stress tests on your server. But right now we just want to test the WTK. So I upload the test WTK in the IonCube folder. And if we go like this, we see, oh, the core JS and CS files are recognized. This means your Wizard's Toolkit has been successfully installed. You can check your variables, you can check your IonCube configuration. Click this, it opens up. Ah, look at that. All right. So we'll put this in here. And look at that. It says that IonCube is already loaded for PHP 8.2. Great. Alright. Let's look at what happens if you're in here and you say, let's click for WTK test with IonCube. And here it shows you that. So now I'm going to upload the new license file, which you get when you subscribe to Wizard's Toolkit. Wizard's Toolkit asks you, when you subscribe, it asks what domain name you want, and then it will send you a license file that looks like this, which includes the domain name as well as localhost. So you can test it locally, and it will work on your domain. So I've now uploaded the new WTK license file, and voila! Everything's working. So now I'm going to make the first KwikLink card to make sure everything's working. So I'm going to just speed this up so that you can see the creation of the first card nice and quick. In my next YouTube video, I'm going to make it so that when a person registers, it goes directly to this page, because nobody needs to go to an empty dashboard as soon as they register and log in. This way they can come in here the moment they register, fill out the information, and then when they save it, it will take them to the dashboard. I think that'll be a much better UIX or user interface experience. And save. The image did not upload properly. Yeah. Okay, let's debug that. I see the file permissions are correct at 755. I'm going to temporarily change them to 777 so we can see if that fixes it. Of course, you can't leave it at 777 because that is a security hole. Okay, it's saved, but it loaded the dashboard faster than the image uploaded. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I solved the file permissions problem. First off, I found out it was because of the file upload. I don't know if it's a FileZilla issue or what, but here's the demo. I'm going to upload the images demo folder, and if I look in here and I say let's look at the file permissions here, it looks correct. I had to open up File Manager from my Webuzo. Now if we look in here, we see, look, images here, it's not locked, but the folder structure that I just uploaded is locked. Now if I right click here, I can see some information like get info, and it says locked no. But if I click on this, it says locked yes. It does say it's 755, but because it was locked, it was not allowing uploads. If I click here, I can even change the mode because it's not locked. The way I ended up having to fix this was I went here and I said, let's create a new folder, images 2. And then images 2 is not locked, and then I was able to create the new folder, user, and then that was not locked, and fortunately it also defaults to 755, which is the preferred security setting. So then I just deleted the previous upload and I copied the new files into the folders as they needed to be. And now all the files are uploading properly and the security is correct at 755. So let's go back to the website and verify everything else is working. Here's the KwikLink card, and this is what people end up giving out as their personal card. Let's make sure that it looks good on a phone. By the way, I'm using Firefox Developer Edition, and when you first switch to it, it doesn't actually refresh as a phone. So I have to do a hard refresh, and now this is how it will look on an actual phone without that little white margin at the bottom. Alright, so now let's download the V card, which is a VCF file, and check it out. There it is. Looks nice. I'm going to double click it. It adds it to my contact address book, and this will work on Android as well as on Mac. I'm using this on a Mac right now. Let's look at how the actual V card looks. There it is. Here's the PHP and the SQL that is used to make that V card. And you can download all of this from the KwikLink GitHub, which I will post in the description below. Plus, of course, you can download Wizard's Toolkit from either GitHub or Docker Hub and be up and running. You can use it on your local host without needing a license at all. Go to kwiklink.me if you like to create yourself a custom card. Maybe even better than use the chickens. Subscribe for more on the business of programming.